Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 10 January 2016, coming to you with another From the Sharpening Bench video today. This one on a knife that we haven't seen before on the TheApostleP channel. Kind of a funny looking Bark River knife, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Because it's really not one of Mike Stewart's sort of more classic Bark River designs. This one is the Adventurer 2, kind of the big brother to the original Adventurer knife produced by Bark River. And the Adventurer is a very close adaptation to the original Murray Carter neck knife. And Murray was kind enough to open up his design book for Bark River to use this pattern. And frankly, they're not in competition. A Murray Carter necker is going to run you, depending on how you trim out the handle, $600 to $700 or so. And this green micarta Adventurer 2 from Bark River, right around $200, maybe a tick over. And this one is green canvas micarta with red liners, kind of my preferred color combination for a Bark River. This knife is much different in handle design and gripping function from most Bark Rivers. It's really a knife I think that's going to appeal to a lot of guys in an EDC role who are used to carrying modern folders. If you look at the shape of the handle, it doesn't have that classic Bark River Coke bottle shape. It's all Murray Carter. It's actually a little concave through here, and it has a forward finger choil. Dimensions on this knife, and the Adventurer 2, just a little larger than the original Adventurer. The knife I measure at about 3 11/16 in blade length. That's from tip to where the handle starts. It's actually listed on Bark River's website at 3 3/4. I get 3 11/16. The handle 4 1/4, and the overall length of the knife is 7 7/8 inches. It's made out of 135,000 stock, and this run, the first run of Adventurer 2s, I think, is in CPM 20 CV. That is the new Crucible produced version of Duratec 20 CV, the old Latrobe powdered metal steel. You guys who are fans of Bowler M390 are going to love it because it's basically the chemical twin. Just really nice steel for this knife. Now the sharpened length of the blade, a little over 3 inches, about 3 1/8. To give you a size comparison, let me get the sheath off camera for a minute. We'll roll in Strider SNG because they're kind of the same configuration. Very similar. A little more handle length, I think, in the SNG. A little more cutting edge, maybe about the same in the Adventurer 2, but you know, a fixed blade and a folder that basically work the same way in hand, which I think is kind of interesting, and about the same size. The weight on the Adventurer 2, knife by itself, 3.6 ounces. I measure it. They listed it at 3.8, but I think it's 3.6. With sheath, 6.5 ounces. So the sheath must weigh about 2.9 ounces. Kind of a heavy leather sheath, and it's designed to be used as a necker. I'm going to get into something kind of interesting on this sheath. There are rare earth magnets underneath the belt loop, but they're not between the belt loop and the sheath. If you can see, there are actually 2 layers of leather back here. So those rare earth magnets are right in this area. And they're designed to retain the blade when employed as a neck knife. I'm not quite sure I understand how that's supposed to work, because if you think about the location of the magnets, which are about here, and you look at what's going on with the knife when it's in the sheath, the handle ends here. We really don't pinch the blade tightly till about here. So I don't think the magnets really are going to come into play unless the knife slips out of the sheath and the blade is tight against that side of the sheath. And frankly, it's not enough. If the knife makes it out to that point, I'm going to give this a good shake, and it just falls out. I don't love this. This belongs to my customer Lee from the UK, and evidently he didn't trust it either when he looked at the knife, because he bought a custom Kydex sheath to go with it. If you're going to carry it for neck carry, I think that might be a good idea. I don't think this rare earth magnet deal is, I don't think it's going to do what it's designed to do. Now, the knife can be carried very nicely on the belt. Let's kind of take a look at how that would ride. So there would be the top of your belt. So it's a pretty high riding knife, not too much dropping down below. But I don't think it's going to poke you in the side either. It might with that sort of pointy butt. I haven't carried it, so I can't really say. Definitely a well-made sheath with a beefy welt, nice and thick. If you look at that center piece of leather, or second from the left as you're looking at it, so you shouldn't have the knife running into your grommets at all. It also could be very, very nicely used as a pocket sheath. If I owned one, that's probably how I would employ it, or on a belt, either one. Very nicely made. The magnets, though, a little hokey. Let's talk more about the knife, shall we? As usual with Bark River knives, we've got a slight drop point and a convex grind with a slight flat. So it's sort of saber ground. The flat ends just about where you see that first production run etch. Nicely convex. I did thin it ever so slightly when I sharpened this one for Lee, and having now sharpened some Bark River knives in A2 and LMAX, and this my first one in M390, I think I have found my new favorite. At least if I were going to run stainless. Give me some M390, or I'm sorry, CPM 20CV. If they wanted to run some in M390, that'd be fine too. Just really, really sharpens up nicely. Much easier to get a killer edge on this stuff than the LMAX knife that I worked on my featherweight Fox River. I like this stuff. I like the way they heat treat it. And by the way, about 63 Rockwell on this 20 CV. That dog will hunt. So in hand, what do we got? Well, if we come up and use this forward choil and a saber grip, nice little run of jumping. Very, very comfortable in the hand. Sort of an organically shaped handle. You can see that both Murray Carter and Ken Onion sort of get their influence from the same place, Asia, or the same general vicinity. That's a very comfortable grip. And then you can see we have this milled depression in the front of the handle, which is to facilitate this overhand pinch grip, the 1/0 pub samurai grip. I like that feature. However, I don't find it particularly well executed on this knife. I don't know if it's because of Bark River's process and the way that they're tooled, to make knife handles. This appears to be like a CNC milled feature with very sharp corners, and then it looks like it's probably polished with the rest of the handle at Bark River, so the finish matches the rest of the canvas micarta. But those corners, unless you have your thumb situated perfectly, like right here, that's comfortable, but trying to find it is a little unwieldy. I'd prefer that it be a more organic depression with sort of curved edges. If you guys remember my video on the Enzo Trapper that I built for Toad Sticker, I believe it had something like that, and I did it on purpose for this very grip. I think they could have done better with that, although, you know, once your hand gets used to it, it finds the right place pretty readily. In the hammer grip, you can kind of use either position for your hand, all the way forward, which I guess I would probably think you'd use most of the time, or if you want a little more meat in the web of your hand, you can come here. That's not great, I don't think. I think this is a better hammer grip. Draw cut grip, same thing. You kind of want to be here with it, nice and comfortable. Another grip I think that it really excels in is this sort of draw cut grip. Basically, it's the same as the overhand pinch grip, just with the edge pointing the other way. Great for, you know, cutting a piece of rope or something you're going to pull sort of toward you and away to the side. Really, really functional EDC knife. You know, why would you buy the Adventurer over a knife like the Bravo EDC or the Featherweight Fox River? Well, I think if you're sort of a modern folder guy, and your hand is kind of used to forward choils and Ken Onion type grips or Murray Carter type grips, this would be a great EDC option. We're seeing in coming to market recently a lot of small 3-inch to 3 1/4 inch bladed EDC fixed blades, which is a really kind of a neat emerging market segment. If you're a folder guy and you've never carried a small fixed blade for EDC, buy one and try it. It's kind of neat for a change of pace, I think. And by the way, no lock failure if you do that. So for modern folder guys, this would probably be a great transition to fixed blades. If your hand is sort of used to this grip in using your knife, this would be a good option for you. Also, if you just love the classic Murray Carter necker and you don't have $600 or $700 to spend, what a great way to get there in a great steel with superb cutting geometry. Man, that stuff just got sharp. This is probably, you know, sharpening convex knives is becoming almost a form of meditation for me. It's just sort of all you. You have no fixed angles to help you. You take a beautiful brand new factory blade with a 600 grit satin, and by the time you get done thinning it out, taking the shoulders off, you get this hodgepodge of grind lines. You just basically wrecked a factory finish on a knife blade, and then you bring it all home. This one, of course, a polished edge down to 1/2 micron. Not a micro bevel, a slight steepening or tightening of that convex radius at the edge. Only my 1000 grit and 2000 grit papers, and then my 3 micron and 1/2 micron strops are sort of at that polished finish elevation that you see. Comes out great. When I finish with my 600 is when I go back and resatin the length of the blade to get these vertical striations. Even sometimes I'll hit it again after my 1000 if I get a little messy at my tip. Man, that came out sharp. I did this pretty thin. Lee We kept talking about zero grind convex. I think he wanted one that was scalpel sharp, so this one we thinned out quite a bit for him. He and the lads can sit around cutting things, marveling at it. Well, they're not killing bad guys. Pretty solid effort with one little thing I would probably change right here. And I don't know, I might like to see a more conventional sort of drop-in bushcraft style sheath for this one. I find it to be a little long for a neck knife myself, but that's just me. Well, that is all for this one, my friends. Thank you for watching. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember the word, and Lee's adventure 2 are sharp.